Hi, welcome. My name is Chandra. I'm getting out my big stock pot this morning because I have a lot of chicken carcasses in my freezer and the freezer is overflowing already and that stuff is making it worse. So, and I also have a lot of vegetables stored up from my vegetable ends. So I'm ready to get some chicken stock going. I'll be home all day today so I can just cook on the stove. Stuff is all frozen right now. But I'll cover it with water and let it sit for a while before I get it going. This is great, I can make a lot. No wonder my freezer was so full. Oh my gosh. Too much stuff. This is gonna make my life so much better. I think that's all of it. Wow. That is so much better. This is the right thing to do. Oh, and there's more. Because we cooked a chicken last night. So this I kept out because I knew I was going to do this. So get it all in. Looks like we have 1, 2, there's a backbone in here. That's part of that chicken. 3, and then some parts, I think. So at least 3 chickens. That was the backbone, plus lots of onion peels and ends. Looks like there's some fennel in there, that'll give nice flavor. And so many minerals in those veggies. Oh, and there's one up there. So definitely 4. That's good. If we're doing this, might as well fill up the pot and get lots of stock. Okay, so I'll get this filled up with water. I'm using my filtered water since we're going to eat it, and it's going to be very concentrated. I want to use a splash of apple cider vinegar, and that will help draw the minerals out of the bones. It's a lot. Let's do a little bit more. White wine works as well. I don't have an open bottle of wine though. So to this, I also want to add some spices. So I'm going to put some black peppercorns, some salt, and bay leaves. I'm out of black peppercorns, so we'll skip that. Totally fine. I also don't think I have much in the way of fresh spices because I used them all when I made beef stock. Yeah. So that's fine. While that's filling, I'll kind of show you how I keep my freezer here now that I can actually use it again. This was just jam-packed because of those 4 chickens. So in this little corner, I keep any like kind of prepared foods that I can pull out like for lunches. So I've got some soup that was left over from dinners, soups, hot dogs. These are some frozen fried chicken tenders that we had left over. Hamburgers, as soon as we run out of these, I'll thaw more meat and make more. That's really handy to have all ready to go. More hot dogs. These are frozen breakfast sausage patties and some leftover turkey burgers from a dinner, and also another good, easy, quick lunch. I can cook those things right from frozen. Then I have a little bit of squash cut up, a bunch of falafel. So that's all my easy frozen lunch foods. Then in this section, it's a little disorganized right now because of those chickens coming out. I have a little basket here. You can just see the edge of the paper that I keep all of our bread in. So I've got some English muffins, gluten-free and regular. There's some bagels. There's my gluten-free bread. Now I can get all this stuff kind of back in the right spot. And I have a little bit, I need to make bread today. I have just a little bit of regular like sourdough bread. So that's all in that basket. And then in this basket, I have all fruits. These are some cranberries. This is all fruit we use for smoothies and just for eating snacks. There's some pomegranates right now. So that's all right here. Oh, there's some more bread that didn't fit down here before. That's a gluten-free loaf, but let's bring it down closer to where all the breads are. You know what? Let's put this falafel back there now where the chicken was. I have also, so this is where I keep my bag of veggie scraps, and I have the water making noise. I have garlic scapes back there, so I can reach back there and get that when I need it. So this can sit right in front of the bread. And then up top I have, this is our ice. That's a little bit of prepared black bean cubes. So, and see, this is not working right now either. So there's ice, and then behind this almond flour, the almond flour is sitting right here, I have all of my ground flours, gluten-free, and I have some rye in there and wheat for when I make regular bread. Here's a pie crust, and this basket on top, I keep herbs in, and the basket on the bottom is cheeses, like sliced like deli cheeses mostly. And then I've got a plant-based cream cheese that wasn't getting used. It was not the favorite. So that's all my flours. That's everything in the door. I have a few sauces, some egg whites, and what is this stuff? Oh, lime juice, yeast, coffee, some veggies that are open, peas and green beans, and tomato soup, some cooler packs. So that's my much easier to access freezer. Let's see how this is doing. We're running low on our filtered water, which is fine, that'll fill back up. So let's give that a rest. Come back to this in a little bit. I finally got this filled up. I just fill it to cover the chicken and vegetables. And now that it's sat for a little while, just so that chicken can thaw, maybe an hour or two, I'm going to bring it up to boiling and just as soon as I can, start moving this stuff around. And over time, as this cooks, the chickens will break apart and I can really get this thoroughly stirred around. So here it's been cooking for a while and you can see it's looking darker. I want this to cook, I'm making bone broth, so I want it to cook for a good 12 to 24 hours. So I aimed for 2 days and did end up being about 24 hours, but in order to save this overnight, I don't feel like comfortable letting it run on the stove, and I don't think it should sit out for that long. So it is winter, it's a good time to make stock because we can put this in the garage, which is probably the same temperature as our refrigerator. And it was fine out there overnight. And then, well, I had my husband put it out for me, bring it back in, and that way I could do it for 2 days. So after the 2 days is done, I pull out the big pieces just so much doesn't have to go through my strainer. and strain this into what ended up being 2 pots. This was a lot of stock. It's nice to save up so many chicken carcasses and do so much at one time. I usually make about this much right here in this pot, but this time I had more than that. So you'll see we get a lot of jars of stock. So I'm gonna get some jars out, and I'm just running my finger around the rim to make sure there aren't any chips in these, because I do want to pressure can this stock. It's nice, especially with bone broth, it's kind of nice to freeze it instead because it retains more of its collagen and those kind of properties of bone broth, but I just don't have room in my freezers to have stock. So I did use a lot of this after it was jarred up, but before it was pressure canned as bone broth. So we did get some of that bone broth benefits, and I know there's still nutrients and minerals in this stock once it has been pressure canned. It's just not quite the same. So I'm getting all of these jars filled, and I'll also get some pints filled. I'm just checking for my headspace here and adjusting as needed. I'm taking a warm, wet washcloth and cleaning the rims, especially of any fat that might be on them and would potentially keep the jars from sealing. Once I get my lids and rings on, I'm going to put these in the refrigerator, and I'll put the pints in the refrigerator as well, because it's evening now, we're going to have dinner. I don't feel like pressure canning this stuff tonight, and I know it won't all fit in one round. So I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, and it's going to be a couple days before I get to it, and I'll show you how I address the situation of it no longer being hot, because pressure canner directions do tell you to put your hot stock into jars and then pressure can from there. So I'll show you what I do to get around that safety issue. When pressure canning, it's really important that the interior of your jars reach a certain temperature in order to be safe to put on your shelf and not grow harmful bacteria. So these jars are now cold. They've been in the refrigerator, and you'll see I have a lot less because I've been eating it and using it in cooking. So now I can do it all in one round, so that's kind of nice. I have cold water in my pressure canner because these jars are cold and I don't want a difference in temperature there, which could cause cracking. So I'm going to load all of these cold jars into the canner, and I'm going to take the lid off of the middle one And that way I can check the temperature of that jar, and when it reaches a nice close to boiling point temperature, it will be safe to just proceed with the pressure canner directions to the letter. I like doing this because the alternative would be to dump all these jars that are already cleaned and wiped and have the right headspace back into a pot, heated up to boiling, then move it back into the jars, do the whole process again. So it's nice to be able to do it in parts like this, but still know that my contents are hot enough to be safe. I just have to take this jar out in order to tighten the lid enough. I couldn't really reach in there and it's hot. So now I can get this back in, close my lid, get it venting for 10 minutes and then proceed. Since I have a mixture of pints and quarts, I'll process for the quarts time because that's longer. And then I will have stock to go on my shelves.